Hello guys, in today's session we will discuss how NoSQL database differs from traditional database systems. So let's have a look the difference between the two. So starting with first, NoSQL database is a column-oriented. When you talk about column-oriented database, a column-oriented is a database management system that stores data tables as a section of columns of data rather than rows of data. On the other hand, traditional database stores information as a section of rows. So traditional databases are called row-oriented database. Now talking about next difference, that is NoSQL database, it uses sparsely populated tables. That is, the tables are optimized, and if we store null values in any cell, then NoSQL database does not allocate any space for that particular record. Whereas we talk about your traditional database application, it uses simple tables. That means if you have null values in any cell, then the space will be occupied. Then in NoSQL database, queries are focused on collection of documents. Sometimes it is also called as unstructured query language, that is UNQL. The syntax of using UNQL varies from database to database, whereas SQL database, it uses structured query language for defining and manipulating the data, which is very powerful. Next difference between NoSQL database and traditional database application is that NoSQL database has tight integration with MapReduce. Tight integration with MapReduce means we can extend database functionality by integrating MapReduce with it. But in case of traditional database application, tight integration with MapReduce is not provided. Next, NoSQL database can deal with all the types of big data. It can be structured, semi-structured, or unstructured data. So when we talk about structured data, that is the data can be stored in the form of rows and columns. Semi-structured data is a data in the form of XML files, HTML files, or else it can be in the form of JSON data that have a parent node and child node inside them. And lastly, the unstructured data is the data that does not follow a specified format for big data. So in that case, that is not considered as your structured or semi-structured part. It is a fully unstructured data. So when you talk about your traditional database application, it only supports for structured data. Now, lastly, talking about the last difference, that is NoSQL database are horizontal scalable. You can just add few more servers easily in your NoSQL database infrastructure to handle the large traffic. On the other hand, SQL database are vertically scalable. You can manage increasing load by increasing the CPU or RAM, etc. on a single server. So this is basically the major differences between your NoSQL database as well as your traditional database systems.